Thanks to my good friend and young broken board co-host Kevin for providing me with this figure. Like, comment, subscribe for the love of fuck. Hey, my name is Jobby, and Pacific Rim is one of the few movies that can make me cry. Andy giving his toys away? Whatever. Han Solo dies? Fucking hilarious. But giant robots preventing the apocalypse by fighting giant monsters? I love this movie. And it's not that Pacific Rim is an emotional story. Far from it. The story is the weakest part of the movie. Idris Elba has cancer, who cares? It's the fact that I have such a personal love for giant robots and giant monsters. Seeing them battle to the death in a live-action film, granted, rendered in beautiful CGI, it honestly affects me emotionally. Did I mention I'm a very lonely person? You owe it to yourself to watch this movie if you're a giant monster fan or if you're a mecha anime fan. It's very clear that Guillermo del Toro put a lot of love into this work. Guillermo del Toro is my waifu. The painting and the sculpting on this figure is awesome. But first let me talk about the box. Beautiful looking artwork, and it's got an opening flap. Alright, let's move on. This beautiful hunk of junk is called Gipsy Danger, and she's the main character's giant robot, also known as a Jaeger in the film. And yes, just like the Evangelion Unit 1, I'm calling Gipsy Danger a she, simply for the fact that the characters call her a she. And now that we've established that, I can now awkwardly sexualize it. I had sex once. This is just a great design for a realistic giant robot. It has a clear, distinctive silhouette, bright, recognizable colors, and it's not just the massive, incomprehensible filth. And as good as the sculpted detail looks, the painting leaves a lot to be desired. Don't get me wrong, the dry brushing and the weathering effects on this figure are done great. I mean, when it comes to weathering, dry brushing, any loose paintwork like that, NECA's the tits. But it seems they have trouble with precise detail work. The little painted details on the mechanical parts don't look awful, but they do look kind of off. And these white parts on these shoulder fins, they're supposed to be lights, but this is just sad. But for the price, this figure's totally worth it. Get this figure wait, we're not there yet. A figure that dares calls itself Ultimate better come with accessories. In addition to these fists, which easily come off, you get a pair of open hands, which if you had an open hand on one side and a fist on the other, you can recreate this pose. Fuck yeah! And you get a pair of chain swords, which is quite literally a chain that ejects from the forearm of the Jaeger, and it straightens up and solidifies into a sword. One of the coolest moments in the movie, but one of the dumbest? Like, you didn't know it had a chain sword rally? Come on. This is not a movie review, let's move on. And you get this piece, which plugs right into her chest. So in the film, this circle is pretty much one big thruster, and Gipsy Danger can eject fire from it, either as an attack, or to push her off the ground when she's falling from the air. And finally, you get a pair of plasma cannons. The arms here are kinda tough to get off, and even tougher to burn, but boy is it worth it. And as great as the plasma cannons look, the painting at the tip of the barrel is not the best. I get what they were going for, it was kind of like a glowing effect, but let me show you how it's done. You guys want to see something cool? Well, if you do, you could just turn this off and watch Pacific Rim, but something cool about the figure, this is one bright LED, and the light up feature makes this piece look even better. And the batteries are located on the back, just so you know. And now, at the edge of our hope, at the end of our time, I have cancer. And that's really all the head can do. I wish it was on a ball joint. Ball joint at the shoulder, which allows for rotation. Shoulder moves out not that far. Ball joint at the shoulder pad. Swivel here. Bend at the elbow. Ball joint at the lower elbow. Tight rotation. Ball joint at the wrist. Category 4. Ball joint at the chest allows her to arc and crunch. Rotation at the leg has a lot of range. Decent spread. A category 5. Double bend at the knee, ball joint at the ankle, allows for some limited pivot, a deep toe bend, and somewhat of a swivel. Posability on this guy, girl, genderless robot, very good everywhere, but I wish there were more in the head and the arms. But it's enough to get some awesome poses. And seeing as this is a giant robot, she's a pretty big figure. Here's Masterpiece Optimus Prime, Figma Modica Kaname, fellow Legendary Pictures franchise crossover please SH Monster Arts Godzilla, the NECA 1954 Godzilla, and what was likely one of Pacific Rim's inspirations, the Evangelion Unit 1. Overall, this figure's awesome. This is a great looking figure that's fun to pose, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's watched Pacific Rim. And if you haven't watched Pacific Rim, do it for Papa. And despite not making too much money at the box office, it was enough for a sequel, thank fuck. And is it just me, or does it look even more like an Evangelion? Let's hope John Boyega gets cummed on. I'll review it probably 2 years after this video. Not really though.